Annie, bonjour. Hello, Manette friends. Welcome back. Hope everyone is doing well and staying safe and good health. Today I'm going to teach you how to bead on the Dreamcatcher ring. I got this part done. That's going to be one side of it. And we're going to bead the other side. You can do whatever designs you want. If you want to get your design first and ready, you can use this paper. I'm not sure if you can get it at the craft stores, but you can look. But this was gifted to me by my good friend. She got it from Knock Bay Trading Company, which is located in Escanaba, Michigan. But I'm sure you can go to their website. But I do a lot of my shopping online at Shipwreck Beads is where I go to get my inventory. I love their beads, and you know, they got a lot of other products there. Get my needles and everything else that I use. But I do love to shop at Joann's and Hobby Lobby and Michael's local. But there's just some things I can't get there at a good price. So I go to Shipwreck Beads. I really like them. You can go to their website if you'd like and check them out and see. And also Knock Bay. They got a variety of things. They both do. And there's a lot of other Native American stores that you can shop for beads and other supplies that you need. Just go and search the web, and if you don't know, hey, ask somebody. Ask another beader, you know. All right, let's get started. Enough of my jibber jabber. All right, I'm not going to knot this or burn the ends because I don't want a big ball, because it's going to look gaudy. But I usually just eyeball it to about where you want it to be at. If you want it to be higher up, you can just put it higher up and start right here or whatever, because your little leather string's going to be hanging right here. You're going to hang it up. So put it wherever you want. But this is how I do my rings when I bead them. You don't want to put it up too high. So remember that, because you want room to put your feathers that are going to hang down. Like this one on here, you see? They have it here, but there's other ones that I've made. Actually, let me show you so you get an idea. All right, here we go. Here's your little string that you're going to hang it up. Now you see here how your feathers are coming down. That's why you don't want it too far up, because otherwise it's going to look gaudy. If you want to make sure there's enough space here to have room for your string to hang it, and for your string for your feathers to hang, because if you don't, it's going to look really gaudy. and then they'll be way up here, and yeah, but yeah, this is, I do believe I put it in my beadwork video that I posted. But yeah, this is how it's going to look when it's all done. See, I got the feathers designs on the beadwork. Yeah. There are different stitches. Some people do a gourd stitch, 3 gourd stitch. But me, I like the peyote stitch. It just, it looks real pretty. See? Now, what we're going to do is you're going to find your spot and you're going to make a knot where you want your starting point for your other design it. I usually give enough room. You can even measure like that. You know, it don't matter. Guesstimate. But you gotta figure, if you're gonna start here, your feathers are gonna be way up here. So you might want to give more room over. See, like that. Because you're gonna have your string to hold it, hang it. You just got to guesstimate how you want it. If you want your feathers to come down more, to the side, down more, then just keep moving it over. You got to remember now, you're going to have your middle one too, hanging down, your feathers. That's where I'm going to start mine. I'm going to start beading right there from that point. So tie a knot. Try to get in the grooves of the leather that you put on there, between the leather that you wrapped around. This is an 1/8 inch leather cording that I wrapped around. And it is the suede. Alrighty. What I mean is, you see the grooves in there from wrapping it? Try to get in there as much as possible. Pull as tight as you can. Make it one more knot. You see how I got it in the grooves in between? That's how you want it. Okay. Now, I usually leave my thread hanging because I bead over that thread, but I don't like it that long because you don't know how long you want your pattern to go. So I usually just cut it. I usually don't have it that long, but that's okay. So about 1 inch, 1.5 inches left hanging, and you're just going to be right over that as you're going around. You're going to keep beading over it, so it'll be covered up. So alrighty, now I usually get double to make sure it's secure. Also, your beeswax, don't forget that. I forgot to tell you. Getting way ahead of myself. But wax your thread. Now I got 2 arms length spans twice because I'm doubling my thread. but you can have 1 arm length span first to start out with if it's your first time. That way you don't get it all tangled up and get frustrated, because you can always go and add more string to it if you need more to finish your project. So don't worry about that. I'll show you how to do that later on to add more thread. All right, there we go. See? Now we're ready to bead. Don't forget how many you put on here, so you can do the other side the same when you're doing your project. Or if you just want it 1, that's fine. But I like mine to be the same on both sides. Just makes it stand out. Yeah. All right. Now you got to figure out how many beads you need. Oh, that's going to go around this ring. It depends on the leather for your rings, because some leathers are thicker than others and some are really thin. So you know, it's just up in the air of how many beads needs to go around this. So I'm using an even stitch. I'm going to be using an even number. Got my tray of colors here. I'm using the Delica beads. Five, 8. I got 18. I do believe I used 18. I wasn't sure if I used 18 or 16, but we're going to find out. And then what you do is just wrap it around to see how many beads you need to go around it. That's all for now. Make it tight. Make sure you ain't got no spaces. Go around it. And it's 18. Now, what I do is I hold it right there, and then where you first put your beads on, you want to go through all them beads with your needle. Try to keep it close. I mean, if you have problems, you can just open it up like that, and then you're going to go through the hoop. Now you're going to go through all of your beads, starting with the very first one you put on, and then go through all the rest of them. There we go. Get as close as possible around the ring and pull. Hold it in. I like to hold my beads in place so the string doesn't move, you know, because sometimes your string will be off and it won't be in the starting place where you were. Okay, now once you did that, you want to go through the next bead. You can go through the next bead or the second bead. I'll go through 2 beads. I like going through 2 or 3 beads. Yeah. You want to go through the second or third bead after that, because you don't want to start right there where that knot is. Okay, let's see here. Okay, here we go. Oops, there we go. See? You went through your starting point was right here. You go through the 2 more beads and you come out right here. That way you're not right at that knot and it won't be an open space. But yeah. Then you just, what you're going to do is skip every bead. Get a bead, put a bead on, skip a bead. Now, like I said, you're going to skip a bead and go through the other bead. Sometimes your thread gets tangled. Just be patient. Ooh. I got my smudge here. I love the smell of the smudge. Sage. Smells good. Alrighty. You want it to, I hold the beads in place like that with my thumb and my finger. Hold them and we just wiggle it back and forth to make it tight. Give it a little tight feeling, that's all. Alrighty. Okay. My thread was right here. I skipped that bead and went through the other one, and that's how you got your bead sitting right there. Get another bead, 1 bead, skip a bead and go through the next one. Sometimes a little hard, but it'll go through. Make sure you got the right size needle too for what size bead you're using. A lot of beaders use the size 11 beads, standard bead size. So make sure you get the size needle you need for that. Okay. And just put your bead in place and hold it and give it a little tug back and forth. That's all. Skip a bead and go through the next bead. Alrighty. Pull it through. Pull it through. Skip a bead and go through the next bead. Okay. Hold the beads up that you just put on and give it a little tug. Okay. Now I'm going to show you what it's looking like. It's going to look a little funky at first, but that's okay because once you get started and you pull on it, it's going to look a lot better. See how you skip a bead and go through the next one? That's how it's going to look. See? You continue that, go all the way around till you get to the end. Skip a bead and go through the next bead. Don't forget to put your bead on. I've forgotten to put my bead on before too, so don't feel like you're the only one. We all do, trying to hurry and rush or whatever it may be. But you've got your bead, skip a bead, and go through the next bead. And if your thread seems to be tangling up, just separate the two threads. Put your finger, I like putting my finger in there and pulling like that and straightening them out like that. And then just keep continuing. If you don't do that ever so often, your thread's going to get tangled up really bad. I tried to do that and it was frustrating. I had to put it down because I was so frustrated trying to hurry. But sometimes, you know, I get excited and I hurry because I want to get it, you know, my project done, but can't do that. Plus you want it to look really nice and presentable too, so take your time. It'll get done. Just pay attention and where your thread is and make sure you got your bead on, skip a bead and go through the next bead. Once you get past this first couple rows, it'll start looking more presentable and then you'll be like, oh, okay. Okay, now we are at the end. I'm going to do my last one. See my last one? Okay. I got my bead. Skip a bead and go through the next bead. It's a little hard, a little difficult at first. Putting that first row on, it's a little difficult because the beads are all pushed together and doesn't want to go through. My needle don't want to go through it, through the bead. Alrighty. 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 Now if you see here, that was my last one I did. See that bead right next to it? Okay, I'm going to stick my needle through it. It's the very first bead that you put on. Okay, there. That's the bead you're going to go through when you put your last bead on. The very first bead you put on is the one you're going to go through to start your next row. Okay, see? I'm going to go through that, pull it. Okay, then you just push your beads up, the ones that you put on, hold them. That's what I like to do, because I don't want it to jiggle all around. Okay, then we're going to start our next row. See how it's looking? That's how it's supposed to look. Okay, now this bead's going to go in between the other beads that's sticking up. It's a lot easier now to see where you're going to put your next bead at, because that bead's sticking up. So, alrighty. I'm trying to hold the thread so you can see. Okay. Oops. Okay. Here's your starting point again. Oops, can't even see. Here's your starting point again. Now you're going to go to the next bead that's sticking up, that first one. Can you see it? There we go. You're going to go through that one now. And so on. Hold it in place and pull it through. Make sure it's not twisting, your beads. That's why I hold them in place so they don't twist everywhere. Stuck to the other one. Better put some beeswax on it so stay in place. There. Now it's holding on there. Kept getting in the way. I just put a little beeswax on it. Get your bead and go through the next bead. Keep continuing until you get all the way around. Hold your beads in place. Get your bead. Go through the bead that's sticking up. Always check your progress as well. That way you know if you made a mistake, and you can fix it right away without having to tear it all apart after you've gotten so far. Yeah, I've done that before. Got my bead and going through it. Yeah, so just make sure you're paying attention to your progress. Pull it, hold it, and pull it. I just like to pull it a couple times, enough to keep it in place. Get your bead. Make sure you're not over it and then going, because it'll get all tangled up too. Just pay close attention where your string is, because if your string is on this side and you go on this side of the hoop and then put your bead through, it's gonna pull like that. Then you're like, uh-oh. Yeah, so make sure if your string's on this side, make sure you're going through in the hoop on this side. If you or vice versa, if your string's on this side, make sure you're going behind and putting your needle through. Otherwise, you're going to end up like that. Then you got to take it out. Yeah. It's just some little tips to keep in mind while you're beading. Alrighty. Yeah, I've done that many times. Hurrying, of course. Just getting all excited. Okay. Now I've come to the end. And see where my string is sticking out of that last one. I'm going to put a bead on, and I'm going to go through that last bead right here, through that, and then I'm going to go to the next one, the one that's next to it. I'm going to go through it, and then I can start my next row. Grab my bead, go through it, that last bead, and then go through the next one that's sticking up just a little bit right next to it. Okay. There. See? Now you can start your next row. You can always tell what bead you got to go through because that bead is sticking up a little bit. That'll be your next row. Okay? I started my flowers with the third row. So I'm doing my flower. So I got the lilac color. You see? See the little flower in there? I don't know, it's kind of hard to see, but them are little flowers right there. You see? Right there. Around that lilac bead, it's a little flower. It's hiding. Okay, so now I'm gonna put my lilac color on all the way around. Okay. Now, once I'm going, now that I'm got a few rows on, I will put a few beads on and then I will pull it tight. You don't necessarily have to, but I like doing this, putting the beads on the ring. It makes them stand out and look very beautiful. All right, if you can see there, you see how I I'm putting the last lilac bead on, going through my last bead. I'm pulling that. See? There we go. See? And it's going to go right in that place. Okay. Now, where your thread is, you see the lilac one up above it next to that thread? You're going to go through that one. Like that. See? Okay. Give a little tug back and forth. Now we're going to start our next row. This will be white that I'm using because of the flower. See? It's white. Give it one pull and then I get another bead and put it through and then pull. Just saves me time from pulling and pulling and pulling. But whatever ways you feel comfortable. Everybody knows my little saying, you do you. Yeah. Whatever you feel comfortable with. Now we're at the end and you're going to go through that first white bead you put on right next to your string. Alrighty. And there you go. You see how it's forming? And that's how it's forming. You can always straighten it out. It looks a little crooked, but you can straighten out later on once you get it, going. There. Yep, see? Alrighty. Well, while you're working on yours, I'm going to work on mine and then I'll be back. I have another little tip as well. Once you start going, and you're pulling on your thread to pull it through, I always keep my thumb hiding these threads, the end of the thread, and then pulling it through. You see how you're pulling it through, because if you're just leaving it like that and you're pulling, sometimes you grab them other threads, the one that's pulling through, and you're grabbing that too and pulling on it, and it's not pulling through. So I like to hold my thumb there, blocking them other threads, the thread that I'm pulling through. See? That way your thumb is in between, so blocking that other thread so you're not pulling that other thread. See? Then it don't get all tangled up. So that's just another tip I thought I'd share with you. I used to get tangled up a lot that way, and so I was like, well, trying to figure things out as always. Easier way, and that's what I came up with. So I thought I'd share that with you. Just thought I'd show you how things are progressing with mine. Here we are. Gotten that far so far. This is as far as I got. Right to the end. So I'll finish this up and I'll show you how to end it. Alright, I finished my end, and now what you want to do is you want to weave your way back up this way, because you still got to finish putting the rest of the beads on there so it'll match this one. And that gives it a little bit more security too. Okay, now I finished adding my extra beads on there. Now I'm gonna weave it down here to the purple so I can cut my thread off and burn it. Now I'm going to put it in this purple one. Then we can just cut and burn it off, this string. My thread got frayed and it keeps catching. So you just want to keep pulling it out like that. There we go. Now try to cut it as close as possible to the ring. There we go. And just burn it off. There we go. See? Now we can put our webbing on. If you don't have sinew, I use sinew, but if you don't have sinew, you can use, yarn or whatever. Some people use thread. Just put some beeswax on it, wax it down. Good. So thank you for watching my video. Please like and subscribe and click on the bell so you can get more notifications when I upload a new video. Bum and peace. See you later. Have a good day.